Hey y'all, it's 8 o'clock on the dot. Give people some time to join us as I take more notes. Oh yay, my polls populated. I'm excited about that. Let me start loading that up now so we can talk through some things. Give me 1 second. Let's see, maybe I won't do a poll. Maybe I can only do a poll. How about I put it in the comments? So this episode of Let's Get Down to Business, I want to do something a little different as we go into the new year. You know, a lot of people make New Year's resolutions that they don't stick to. No judgment. I've been there, done that. But, you know, I think it's more of a, we should think of it more as a commitment, right? Because I feel like when we make it a commitment versus a resolution, we're more likely to stick to it, right? So if you follow me on Facebook, you'll see that I posted some tips today, and I'll go into a little more detail. I took some notes, so I'll be looking to the side. But I took some notes so I can elaborate a little bit on, you know, what I do personally, and not saying that what I do has to be the norm by any means, but at least it gives someone an idea of what someone might do, or hopefully it creates some kind of traction in someone else's life. Because no matter what anybody says, I don't care how popular you are, you know, what profession you're in, how many likes you get, or what you do on social media, there's always room for improvement, right? So, but before I get into that, and hopefully, you know, I'm either way, whether people join now or later, that's completely fine with me, because as you know, I generally take these videos and then place them on YouTube. So be on the lookout for that. Just please be patient. As I stated, that's really the end goal. But as I try out different equipment and things like that, that will determine when I'm consistently on YouTube. But no matter what, whether I record on Facebook Live or, you know, live from YouTube, either way, you know, you'll get the video and be able to comment or what have you. And I do read the comments. I just want to be clear on that, because I know a lot of influencers or YouTube people may not necessarily read them, or have someone else or AI or a bot to do it. I'm not there yet. I'm not at that level. So anyway, really quick, as you all know, I'm trying to get a cadence as to how I would like my my lives and my podcast to flow. First things first, housekeeping tips. By all means, please be respectful in your comments to myself and others. No vulgar language. If I need to tell you what vulgar is, I can do that. But at the end of the day, please be engaged. It is okay to be engaged. This is a no judgment zone. No answer is the right answer, you know, and to each his own. And whatever floats your boat, it floats your boat. But again, I would love for this to be an open forum where people can speak freely and share your thoughts, because, you know, different people have different opinions, right? So let's get down to business. So it is 5 after the hour, And as promised, I would love to keep these lives and these engagements within 1 hour. We're all busy. I'm doing this live after Christmas and before New Year's strategically, because I know, especially myself, I have a younger child, other commitments, and then these are two major holidays, right? You have Christmas and New Year. I personally no longer go out in public during New Year's, but I know a lot of people do, so I just want to be mindful of that whenever I am recording these videos. So again, you can always watch this later. No harm, no foul. I just hope that the information, it reaches the audience that I'm looking for and it's not lost on deaf ears, right? So the first thing I want to talk about, or first thing on my list, is morning routine. So morning routine, what I'm saying is, or what I'm getting at as far as that, this would fall under productivity, right? So I personally, and again, my intent is to share my own personal experience as I go through these, to give you an idea of, maybe something I think is working for me or something I need to work on, right? So my morning routine, I kid you not, my alarm goes off. I might snooze it once or not at all because I woke up before it, or I snooze it multiple times. Either way, most likely I'm looking at my text messages first, just in case something came through, or maybe it's not a text but a notification, because I get tons and tons and tons of those. So I may look there first and then social media, but sometimes I don't, immediately look at social media. But trust and believe, it's within the hour that I wake up that I'm looking at social media. And I think most people probably do that now, whether it's healthy or not. I don't know. I'm not judging, because clearly I do it myself, but that's really my routine. However, that is before I even get out the bed. So however, after that though, what I do is, and I'm not saying this is every single day, but I'm just saying high percentage wise, that is what I do every morning. However, after that though, and I may spend 2 minutes on it, so I don't want anyone to think that it's hours and hours, because it's not. It's just a quick look and then I'm done, right? But after that, my morning routine is to really wrap my arm, if I didn't do it the night before, because sometimes I do it before I go to bed, but in the morning I'll make sure whatever my expectations are for that day, I kind of outline, right? So whether it be work related, meaning my day job, or whatever Khaleesi needs to ensure that she has what she needs before she goes out the door for school, or if it's, I committed to some, I don't know, courses or training or, what have you, I have an appointment, whatever that day consists of, I try to make sure that I'm aware. Because unfortunately, sometimes we make these commitments months and months in advance and you might forget, or, I'll get to this further down the list, but if you don't have, I'll say, a system in place to ensure that you're mindful of these things, you might forget. Sometimes it's not impactful, but sometimes it is. So in order to avoid missing things in general, or especially if they're important, like say there's an event at your child's school, or you're supposed to meet a business prospect for lunch, anything like that, you want to be organized, right? Now, those are my morning routines, and I would love to hear what other people do, because again, the point of this particular episode is to figure out what others are doing and how you may or may not be able to implement that into your routine, right? So again, what I do may not work for you. But if it does, by all means, have at it, or ask questions. How much time I spend, things like that. I don't necessarily have a 15-minute, cut off or anything like that per se. It just depends on what my day is like. Mondays are different from Fridays, so, things like that. So it just really depends. But anyway, next, because again, I need to be mindful of times, 8:11 p.m. Eastern time, for those that are watching. Basic budgeting. So again, just a reminder that the point of me even doing this podcast, it's never about money or anything like that. Like, I love sharing information, but obviously people need to hold themselves accountable and do their own research. However, I don't mind ever sharing what I know, or what I think I know, or pointing people in a direction. Maybe I don't have the time to go down this path, but maybe you do, and I will share that with you, because I'm not afraid of giving someone a step or two ahead of where I'm at. And maybe you can come back and tell me, man, I went over there and it was a waste of time, or, oh my God, thank you for that tip, and it led me to an opportunity. I'm not a hater. I never have been. So I'm okay with sharing information in advance, because again, maybe I'll learn something from the person I shared it with. I'm totally okay with that. So back to basic budgeting. So basic budgeting, I'm not necessarily saying you have to keep a register, like back in the day you had your checkbook register, all that. I'm sure, old school folks like myself, we used to use that, and it probably worked really well at the time, but now everything is so electronic, right? Which I love, by the way. So there's apps, products, things like that you can use. I personally am not doing, probably the best I could, but a basic Excel spreadsheet or something in my phone that I have with me at all times works for me. So, I haven't really looked into any apps or anything like that. I don't know, maybe later I can suggest some free apps or some paid apps. Just know that I would have to then say in my disclaimer that it's an advertisement of some sort. So maybe I won't, but I can always mention it later in another platform. But again, I am okay with Excel. Just the point, I guess, is no matter what you're using, is that you have a snapshot of, and it could be easily your online banking, right? So it doesn't have to be another app or another product that you're using. As long as you are consciously checking your banking statements, how you're spending your money. We all use apps for everything. For example, how many times did you order out? How many times did you place an order on Amazon? How many times? All of that is at your fingertips, and they'll show you, what your history is, whether it's a department store or what have you. So it's not hard at all or difficult for you to keep track of the small things. So going into 2024, I ask that we all do better. And again, I'm committed as well, because I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of the small purchases and things like that get caught up, and they add up. You might spend $5 here, $10 there, sometimes $20. Maybe you take a friend, or depending on where you go eat, because sometimes it's $20 a plate. But wherever you go, that stuff adds up, and by the time you get to the next pay period, you're like, man, where did all my money go? And maybe now you're going back into the office and you're spending more money on gas. And then, obviously that's wear and tear in your car. Maybe you have to get your oil changed more often. All these things add up. At the time you're spending the money, it may not be a big deal, but when it comes around to the next pay period, you may be thinking like, man, I'm a little short, when you're really not, because you spend it on necessities or not. Again, no judgment. I'm just pointing these things out because I think it's helpful for us to, this year and going into next year, to be mindful of how you're spending your money. You'll be surprised how much money you can save when you're conscious of that. Another thing that I didn't write down is subscriptions. I know there are apps, I don't use any of them, but there are apps that will, let you know, hey, you have this subscription, because a bunch of people no longer even use cable, right? We all buy whatever apps that we know we'll watch, say Netflix, Disney Plus, Max, I don't know, Hulu, Peacock, Amazon Prime, whatever it is. I think the majority of people nowadays, because cable became super expensive and not exactly what you wanted, meaning like there were a bunch of channels that you never watched, or you find yourself only watching 3 or 4 or 5, but you're paying hundreds of dollars depending on, if you're including internet or Wi-Fi, a phone line, whatever. But then you might feel like now, with the way the apps are for those subscriptions, they're getting a little pricey because they're increasing, right? But just, again, be conscious, because we all watch TV. We all have downtime. Even if you go on a hiatus and you don't watch, any shows or what have you, say your show. I'm a huge, as anyone that knows me personally, I was a huge Game of Thrones fan. And when I say was, meaning when the show was on, because I still am. And then House of Dragons came out. Maybe I let Max go for a little. It was HBO Max back then. But maybe I let that go for a while because my show's not on. That's okay to do, because guess what? They may give you an incentive to come back. But if you are also then watching something else that is, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, Succession. That was a show that I absolutely loved that is no longer, well, I should say is, I don't know if they have another season coming, but I watched that show for all the seasons. It's really good. I'm not trying to, promote anything, but Succession was also really good. And Westworld. And so these are all HBO Max, right? Currently Max. But as I stated, if you are not getting what you feel like is your money's worth, cancel it. It may sound small, whether it's $10, $15, $20, but when you add that up for every month, that $10 is $120 a year. So what could you be doing with that $120? It could be on your grocery bill, it could be on your gas light bill, phone bill, whatever. That's how you have to look at it. And if you really want to get super granular, I am a fan of wherever you grocery shop, if they have a point system or some type of rebate or whatever, sign up. I literally, I'm in the Midwest, so I went to Meijer and I earned, I shop at Meijer, Kroger, and Walmart sometimes. So Kroger and Meijer have a point system. You can get cash back. When I say cash back, meaning like you can allocate it to different things. Walmart doesn't have that because allegedly they have the cheaper prices. It just depends, right? So be conscious of that. Clip coupons. Yes, I said clip coupons, whether they're electronic or paper. Take your bottles back. Don't be ornery and don't take your bottles back. I don't care how much money I make. I'm always going to take my bottles back because I'm conditioned that way. It might take me a minute, but I'm taking my bottles back, okay? But again, this is how you save your money. It adds up. I don't care if you're taking, like I said, $3, $4, $5 back at a time. That might be your toothpaste or your lotion for the week or the month. It's think of it as it being free, even though you already paid for it. But again, those are just some simple, basic tips that you can take and hopefully add the money adds up. Or if you just simply take say you take the bottles back and you put the change in a bank, because I do have one of those too. That's okay too, and then see how much money you have at the end of the year. So let me move on though, because it's already 8:21. So next on my list is mindfulness. So mindfulness, in this perspective, I want to talk about mental health, which is extremely important because we're all familiar with terms like burnout and depression and things like that. So mindfulness with taking time to be in the moment and breathe. So if you follow me again on social media, you'll hear me say, give yourself some grace, right? Because I feel like with all things, sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves, whether it be in our personal lives or professional lives or parenting, not thinking you're not living up to your child's expectations when you are. That's just in your mind what you're not doing right. But it's unfortunate that there's been celebrities who, I don't want to go too deep into this, but who have lost their lives behind things like this. And obviously I'm well aware that it's not as easy as it sounds, but I just want to say that it's okay to talk to someone, whether it's a friend, family member, therapist. It is completely okay. Actually, it should be normal. Don't let that stigma behind talking to someone or expressing your thoughts and your feelings when you're not feeling okay be weird or not acceptable, because it is. So take time for yourself. And again, the point about being in the moment, we're so social media driven that I think, and I've seen a ton of videos and I take pictures of my food and the places I go and things like that, but a lot of times I don't, because I want to be in the moment. And being in the moment, I think, is you don't get that time back, right? So don't be so focused on your social media and your likes and your whatever, your followers, that you miss out on something that maybe your child is looking for your attention, or you have a loved one that's older or anyone, because as we know, age doesn't matter anymore about when people are passing away. So don't miss out on the time with those people because you were so busy recording and trying to post and editing to get more likes or do some kind of trend or whatever, and I'm not saying you can't do those things, but don't let those things be more important than your presence with those you love. So again, that's my mindful take when it comes to being present and to just breathe. I think sometimes we let ourselves get worked up or stressed out over nothing, things that don't even matter. You might think somebody's upset with you about something just because they didn't call you back or text you or include you in something, when that's really not the case. That person just didn't think about it, or didn't see it that way or whatever. Everything doesn't have to be taken so personal. So going into 2024, keep that in mind before you get upset or judge, right? Because you don't know what that person's going through unless you already ask, or you're current and you're well aware, then maybe this is a moot point. But if you haven't, and it goes both ways, right? So if you want somebody to think of you or invite you or include you, you have to do the same, right? You have to be as genuine or as present and involved. So don't just always put the blame or the responsibility on the other person. And I'll get move on to the next topic. Quality time. Kind of touched on this when I said being present and things like that. So outside of holidays, anything like that, because we just came, like I said, off of Thanksgiving, Christmas. This is a very busy time of year. You have all these, holidays and family events that are all together. Or if it's not family, it's friends, right? So Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year, crammed all in 2 months, less than 2 months, almost a month, right? So quality time. So again, put your phone down. Don't be so distracted. Be in the moment. You'll be surprised what you learn from someone when you really give them your undivided attention. So I do this a lot with my daughter. I just leave my phone where it is, or I put it face down, or so if you're sending me a notification or a text or anything like that, I won't know because I left it in another room, or it's just not near me, because I'm doing that intentionally so I can only focus on her. So again, whether it's your kid, your partner, your spouse, parents, whoever, your friends, take some time to be present. Like that is so lost on us, in this day and age because of social media. And I don't want you guys to think I'm saying social media is like this horrible thing. I actually think it could be amazing if we use it correctly, and just like I'm using it now for my message and a podcast, a live, Facebook Live. This is all set up for us to be able to engage with other people. But when you're in the same room with someone, it's different. It's a totally different energy, right? You have that person right there, and you can laugh, your body language, all of that plays into it. You might tap the person, touch their shoulder, give them a hug. You can't do that through social media, right? You can't do that online. You can't do any of that. So when you're present and in the moment, appreciate that, because a lot of people miss that. That I'm an extrovert, so I am socially inclined to want to be around people. Can it sometimes be exhausting? Yes, but I love it. I don't like being excluded or separated from people. And I'm not just saying any people, I'm saying my people, like the people I enjoy being around, right? So but again, going into 2024, I thought that was worth mentioning, is that we get so caught up in taking pictures, recording things and things like that. And not saying you can't be in a moment recording something. It's a matter of how you do it, right? So if somebody has to keep repeating themselves or feel like they're being ignored because you're spending more time on your phone, then that's not it. That's not the move. You might want to put the phone down, put the iPad down, close the laptop up, or whatever, because you're missing things. And time waits for no one. I can't stress that enough. You have to value your time more. I value my time more than money, because guess what? I can get more money, I can't get more time. I can take money and buy things, but I can't buy time, right? So time is more valuable for me. So if I give you my time, please know that to me you're important, and I want to be present. I want to, be engaged in things like that, right? So that's quality time. Next on my list is social media disconnect. So I did touch on that a little bit. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I don't want to say how did we get here, because we all know, but it's really like I saw a post, and I need to start dropping some of these links in my recordings. But I saw a post, and if you're, I would say in your 30s, 40s, you'll understand this, and maybe it's later 30s, 40s. But it was a picture of a street. It was Christmas Day or next day or whatever it was, and there were no kids outside. There were no kids out riding bikes, no kids throwing a football, bouncing a basketball, anything like that that normally would be the case, if the weather's cooperating, of course, depending on where you live. But there were there was nothing going on outside. And I don't know where this person resided, but I felt that, because even when it's not Christmas or, a holiday of some sort, it's rare. It's becoming, I'll say it this way, because I don't want to pretend like I know what everybody's neighborhood is doing, but it's becoming more and more rare to see kids outside interacting with each other when it's not school time, right? Or they're playing a sport or anything like that. And that's just sad to me, because that's lost on these kids. And the generation after me and the future generation, like my daughter, it's like, how do you get that unless you enroll your child in some type of sport, right? So anyway, like I said, a social media disconnect, because again, I am going to say that social media is the culprit of causing a lot of that, and not just social media, but also gaming systems. I don't want to be no shots fired. However, let's just keep it real. Back in the day, Atari and all that was cool, but now we have like systems where Xbox, PlayStation, VRs and all that has massively taken over. And I'm not saying every child can afford that, but let's just keep it real. Once that stuff was introduced, it keeps you indoors, right? You're not going outside as much. You're not, and I'm not saying any child is not doing that, because as much as I can, I try to get my daughter outside. But again, I am busy. You're a busy parent when you're trying to provide. The more you're trying to provide for your child, the busier you are. If I'm wrong, let me know. But that's been my experience. The more I have my child involved in, I feel like the busier I am. Because these things aren't free. They cost money, right? So if I want her to, I don't know, take piano lessons or play a sport or learn a language or, whatever it is, she's not going to do that outside, right? She's going to do that inside, whether it's at home or somewhere else. And that's my point. And I am that parent that tries to balance, because I don't want my daughter to feel like that's all she does. She goes to school and she studies something else, an instrument or a sport. I don't want to maximize all her time, because there is value in letting your kid be a kid. There's no rush to grow them up, because they spend the rest of their lives being an adult once they turn 18 or 21, depending on your perspective, right? So anyway, that's what I had on my list. Hey ladies, I see your comments. But again, I really feel like, here's another thing. Finding an accountability partner, I think, would help with people who, and I'm not going to say a resolution, but for those who really want to commit to doing something different, because, whether it be you don't feel like you have control of your finances or your health, you want to be a better parent, better spouse, partner, whatever it is. I feel like a lot of times, and some people you can follow on social media and get that, but you have to be careful, right? Because those people don't know you, and you don't know them. So they don't really know what your personal experience is, right? And I will say this, against popular opinion. I think a lot of people, especially younger adults, have to be careful with social media and comparing, right? Always, always, always know that social media is only going to show you what they want you to see. So, with that said, do not, arrange your life around what you see on social media, because of course they look happy because they can carve out a time where they were, or make it look like they were, or what have you. I don't want to say social media is not real, but it is very snapshot, right? So I can give you a snapshot of my life and you'll think my shit is perfect when it's not, right? I can give you a snapshot of my child's life and you'll think, oh my God, this amazing parent. I think I'm pretty damn good parent. But the point is, it doesn't go perfectly. It's not as smooth as people make it look. There's a lot of work that goes into it. There's a lot of not so pretty times. My daughter's 9 going on 10, but for those parents who may have teenagers, it could be really rough, and maybe they're going through something and you don't know how to break through to them. They don't know how to communicate it. They could be bullied at school, whatever it is. But are you really going to post all that on social media? Maybe you will, because the message needs to be out there, but most parents won't, because they don't want their child seen as being weak, or it's invasive. Let's just call it what it is. It can be invasive. So something I'm committing to in 2024 is, and maybe even if you follow me or you're my friend on any of these social media platforms, I'm posting less and less of my daughter. It's more of a controlled environment for me, but you don't need to see everything she's doing. You don't need to know what her room looks like. Stuff like that is too intimate in my mind. And now, sure, a quick Christmas photo, birthday photo, anything like that, but maybe I don't even want you to see that, because the more information you put out there for your kids, the more stranger danger can come in and try to use that, So you have to be really mindful when it comes to kids, and then even just your household in general, in my mind. Again, this is my humble opinion, so take it with a grain of salt or what have you. But like I said, these conversations are meant to be fluid. They are meant to be sharing opportunities, not bashing, not anything like that. It's never meant to be degrading or pretending like one opinion is better than the other, because it's not. To each his own, and what may work for me may not work for you, and vice versa, right? That's the point. But anyway, one more thing I wanted to talk about, especially with finances. So, as you all know, a lot of times, excuse me, this time of year, well, not this time of year, but end of January, early February, as we all know, tax time, right? Or tax refund time, not tax time. When you get your taxes, or when you're planning your taxes, and you get a refund, a lot of people don't get a refund, whether it be, I'm not going to judge, but anyway, if you don't get a refund, you probably intended to not get one. So I fall on that side of the fence. I don't want a refund. The old me did, the new me does not. So if you do get a refund, please, I can't stress this enough. And this could be an entirely different episode, or you can catch me on my socials talking about these things, but do not use all your money for temporary things. And when I say temporary things, don't go buy a piece of a car that's going to break down in 3 months. Don't do that. I would rather you put something down and make payments. And even if it's not for a long time, don't do that with your money. Be smart about it. And then two, don't go out and buy all the expensive things that you can't afford any other time of the year. And again, I'm not judging. I'm sure, hopefully I'm talking to somebody that needs to hear this, but don't go out and buy iPhone 15 and or a brand new PS4, 5, 6, 7, whatever number we're on. Don't go do that. Maybe get an older model. You know, you can get that stuff cheaper now. Why does it have to be the new? You know, just to say you have it? Don't do that. If you can't afford it, don't do that. Don't do that. And put some money to the side. Because guess what? If you're finding yourself in the same situation every year where you don't have money budgeted, you know, for certain things that you know happen every single year, whether it's your taxes on your home, your child's tuition, you know, whatever it is, don't blow your money like that, you know. And if you're only getting a few thousand back, you can't do all that stuff anyway. So put that money to the side, build yourself a little nest egg, an emergency fund, or whatever. Even if it's not your 3 to 6 months that they say or recommend, and I'm one of them, that is recommended in case you lose your job. Because guess what? What if you lose your job? Do you have anything to fall back on? Do you have, are you able to pay your rent for a couple of months until you find a new job? You know, you got to think about stuff like that. Change your mindset. Change your mindset. Trust me, when you change your mindset, it will change your life. You know, don't try to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. I am going to talk about blocking out noise all of 2024. And if you need me to do it in 2025, I will. But you have to block that noise out, because that's all it is. Focus on what you need. What does your household need? What do your children or child need? Everything else is irrelevant. I promise you, everything else. And if you have a partner or a spouse, then you include them, right? Because obviously, if you're trying to build something together, you do need to listen to them, right? But everything else is noise. Everything. If it's not paying your bills, making you better, educating you, and again, when I say you, I'm speaking of you, because once you get to that next level, that benefits your children and your partner. Everything else is noise. Noise. And last but not least, and I'm at 8:43, so I'm doing good. If you are trying to build a podcast or a business, or trying to think what else, being an influencer, you know, anything like that, take the time to do your research. And when I say research, I'm not just saying the actual platforms, which obviously you need to start that, but follow the people that are in your niche or your niche, you know, whichever way you say it. But that's free game. So, or if you have someone you can talk to personally, obviously. But there's so many people out there that you have to vet them all, right? You don't know who's telling you the right information. Like, how will you know? Because you don't know. You're seeking that information unless you have a resource you can go to, you know, somebody you know that's doing it personally. You have to be careful with those you follow on social media, right? So I'm only saying that because I've read or I've seen a lot of people lose money. And when I say money, I'm talking about thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes. And that's really hard to recover from. So just be careful who you're listening to, who you're following, and things like that. That's all I'm asking. And I guess going into 2024, just to lay out my commitments so everybody can hold me accountable, is my goal is, like I said, to continue to do these live slash podcast, because really at some point I would love to have a space where I can then start holding interviews and things like that, because I love to see people do that. And then I'm looking to do some more partnerships with some of the businesses I'm running, whether it be not just podcasting, but as if you're following me on social media, I have a store, building a consulting business, things like that. I am looking to partner with people to grow those things, and also learning in my day job. So, just be okay or be open to talking to others about what you are trying to do, because you can do it alone, but it takes so much longer. Don't be afraid to or be so prideful that you don't learn from other people. It's completely okay to learn from other people. And if you find yourself in a situation where they, how should I say it, making it seem like you wouldn't know without them, then just don't. Like, cut them off. You don't have to continue that relationship, or, it just end it. If you feel like it's not worth it or it's causing you stress, cut it off. You don't have to be stressed out to be successful, or you should be seeking healthy relationships and partnerships. And yes, that's from me to you. Toxicity is not okay, in no form. And then last thing I want to say before 9 o'clock is that I hope everyone had an amazing Christmas. Christmas it's not about presents. It's about giving. But as we know, we all buy gifts. So I hope that you were financially able to provide those gifts to your children or your loved ones without stretching yourself too thin, because there's not a win in that. Don't ever overextend yourself. Explain to them why you can't afford maybe what they're asking for or what they're expecting, because it makes no sense for you to not have money or go broke just to provide a gift. And then 2, Happy New Year, because I will not have another podcast before January 1st. We're well into 2024, and I hope that it's amazing for everyone, whatever that means for you, whether it be, like I said, whatever you're working on. I probably didn't hit on it today, but if you are looking to, solidify some relationships or rekindle some, and it doesn't have to be a boo, it can be a friendship. Spend some time trying to mend those things, because life is short and you never know, so take the time to make that stuff right, especially if you were in the wrong. If you weren't, then maybe you can't. And then lastly, again, my intent for these lives, these podcasts, is to be some type of positive light, because there's so much negativity, so much drama, so much BS out there. Now, don't get me wrong, every now and again we have a messy topic to talk about, but that's just life. That's how it is. And my podcast is really going to be about love, life, and money, because that's really, what makes the world go round, right? So again, these episodes are going to be a mixture. I hope you appreciate it, and I'm trying to be on the positive end, and hopefully I can help someone get through to the other end of whatever they're trying to get to. And I wanted to say, especially from my last broadcast, is that I will also try to, if I am wearing something that is unique or special, not necessarily an advertisement, I will try to plug that third party into my podcast. So, for example, last episode, I believe I had on a Dirt Label t-shirt. I didn't really show it to anybody, but you probably saw some bears around this area But I love that label. I have a couple of their shirts. I'm a t-shirt fan or junkie to the death of me. But so I'm trying to get better at sharing love and trying to promote those who I think have an amazing brand or something I'm willing to get behind, right? So with that said, I'm gonna lower my camera a little bit because this shirt, Chestnut Checkers, is an influencer that I follow who's very popular, and if you don't follow him, you should. It looks like my lighting got a little funky, but his name is Tall Guy Tycoon. So you can find him on YouTube, Instagram. I don't know what else I follow him on. But YouTube and Instagram for sure, I follow him. And he's very intelligent. He talks about, an array of things, but primarily investing, cryptocurrency, things like that, that I'm heavily into. I am part of the Chestnut Checkers group. Like, I really believe in this guy, and he's helped me make some money. I'll just say some. And so he's definitely worth it. And if you ever go or decide to go and InvestFest, because I will always promote that, not quite sure where it will land this year, in 2024. It has been in Atlanta the last 2 years, but I know that they are open to it being in another location. But for the first time, Tall Guy Tycoon was at the InvestFest Atlanta this year in August. So that was exciting because I've always wanted to meet him and just, thank him for being, he's so transparent, and he's, always willing to share his knowledge. Now, obviously, for those who want everything for free, that's not reality. So some things you're going to have to pay for. And think about it, this person or any person, they put in the time and the work to learn these things. So for you to want instant gratification may not always be realistic. So be willing to pay a fee, not always, but sometimes. And, if you can't afford it, that's fine. But don't always expect to get stuff for free. That's not real life. Not the valuable stuff anyway. That's just not realistic. But anyway, on that note, I am going to wrap up. It is 8:53. I appreciate you all for joining. And again, this video or this particular episode will be placed on YouTube. Just give me some grace and I'll get it over there. Typically I have it done over the weekend and available on YouTube. So, I'll drop a link whenever it's available, and I think I drop it on Facebook and Instagram. So if you're not following me on Instagram, either under Tanika Bell or Let's Get Down to Business, because I did create a Let's Get Down to Business profile over there, by all means, go ahead and follow me. And if I can find the link for the Chestnut Checkers t-shirt, I will add that to this live. I can't remember if you had to be a member of the CNC or not, but if not, I'll drop it in here as well. And last but not least, if you ever have any questions or you want any tips or clarification on anything I cover in my podcast, please let me know. I'd be happy to help. But for now, I'll say good night, and everybody have an amazing, safe New Year, and be careful out there, okay? All right, love y'all. Have a good night and a good weekend. Bye.